Hello and welcome to the Modular Pipe 3ds Max tutorial. So, in this tutorial we are going to create a modular set of pipes. These are a few of the ones that you can create using the skills that we're going to show, and with this you can create connecting pieces of pipes in any way that you see fit. And use the skills to create environmental pieces such as walls and doors that connect together for your environments for your Unreal project. So let's get rid of them. The first thing I want to do is some housekeeping, and we're going to double check that our units are set up. So units, system unit setup, it just check this is on centimeters, and then on here this is also on centimeters. We're also going to double check our grid, so right click here and go on home grid, make sure that's on 10 centimeters, and I think for most people it's default at 7, so just increase that to a large amount so we've got lots of grid spacing to snap to. The other thing which I'd advise is to make sure that your angle snaps toggle is turned on for when you're rotating in 3ds Max, else you'll get some decimal values and it's quite hard to snap to a solid integer. The other thing that you can see here, I've got a little reference. So if you want to get one of these, you want to go over to the Systems tab over here and drag out a biped, and you can change the height of that biped over here. So if you type in there, about 185 centimeters is 6 feet tall, and that's just a nice reference for any environments and blockouts that you're building. I'll just leave my one there. The other thing is, well, if you want your viewports laid out like this, you can click this little plus icon, configure viewports, and go to layout and select this option here. And finally, when I'll be toggling my Scene Explorer on or off, I have just dragged it out from the left side over here where it was, and I've just put it down here and just resized it. So I can just turn it off and on because I don't need it on all the time, and now we get a little bit more screen space over here. So with all that out of the way, what we can do is start in the Create tab, and we're going to start with the 90-degree pipe. And to do that, we're going to start with the torus. So if we just drag one out, any shape or size, and just make sure that the radius in 1 is at 50 and the radius 2 is at 20. The other thing that we need to make sure is that we have the correct amount of sides. Just looking at the pipes that I've made here, I believe that is not 16, it must be 12, yeah, 12 sides. Okay, so then when we make all of our cylinders after this, they also need to match up with the same amount of sides. Okay, now if you can increase this number for a smoother silhouette on your pipe, but just making sure that all your modular pieces have the same amount as this. So once you've done that, if you'd happen to create your torus somewhere else over here, you can press the W key on the keyboard and just make sure you right click these numbers down here, the X, Y and Z values, the arrows here, to zero it out, and then our pivot point will be exactly where we want it for our modular system. The first thing we need to do to the torus is to convert it to an editable poly. You can either apply and edit poly from the modifier list, or you can right click, convert and editable poly. We're going to select all of the faces that are not in the positive X or Y axis. So if that means to drag a box over here and over here, and if we have a look here, we can see that we've got only those faces selected. To drag multiple selections, hold down Control on your keyboard, and then you can drag boxes. If this is not working when you drag a box over, you may have this icon, this window crossing selected, and sometimes what will happen is it will drag a box over and not all the faces that you've got selected will be highlighted will be selected. So just make sure that your icon looks like this, window / crossing. Okay, so again, drag a box like that and holding down Control and make sure that only those are selected. You can press the delete key and that will get rid of all of those faces. Because our pipes are going to interconnect, we'll never really see inside of them, so we're not going to worry about capping the ends of these. With that done, we have created our 45-degree pipe, so we can 90-degree pipe, I should say. So I can call that 90 pipe. So the next thing that we can do is go to the Create tab, and we can clone this, and we're going to call this one 45 pipe for 45 degrees. And we need to make sure that's a copy and not an instance. An instance inherits the changes on both meshes. So now we've done that, we can go back to the 90-degree pipe. So we might need to go onto the Scene Explorer. I've got two of them here because there is also one over here. But if I select the correct one, and I'll just hide it for now. Right, and so with our 45-degree pipe, we're going to go to the Modify tab. I'll just turn off the Scene Explorer, and we are just going to delete with faces selected. To get to this, you can press 4 on the keyboard or just click it with your mouse, and just select this row here, and we can just click grow and grow again until we get all of those selected, and press delete, and now we've got a 45-degree pipe. So with that, if we rotate this around and rotate it, and then we would do a few copies, you can see they all interlink like so. Right then, so that's 2 of our pieces made already. The next one we should make, so I'm just going to hide that selection, is now the straight pipe. So to do that, I will drag out another pipe, and this one will be a radius of, is it 20 centimeters? I'll just double check on this one just to make sure. Hang on. So yes, 20 centimeters. Yeah. So 20 centimeters and 100 centimeters high. And then we're going to make sure there are no height segments and no cap segments. So just 1 and 1 on there. And then the sides need to be 12, just like our torus was. And after that, we can press E on the keyboard or the rotate tool here, and we can rotate that down onto its side. And again, because we've made it positioned it into at 0, 0, 0, we know as the pivot point is in the correct place. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is convert this down into an editable poly. And if we delete those 2 faces, and then that is that piece of pipe created. So I'm going to right click, clone this, and I'm actually going to call this one the just iPipe, and then we should be able to then just right click and hide the selection, and then when we select this one, that'll be the first cylinder that we had. So after that, what I'm going to do is using edge selection, select one of these edges and click ring. The other thing that I could have done is just drag a box over to select the whole ring, or I could have clicked it and clicked 1 and then pressed shift to also do a ring selection. Either way, have all of these selected and then click connect. You could have clicked connect with this dialog box as well, and had multiple the choice to change where this line would appear. And what we're going to do now is just delete the top half. So now we've got a shorter pipe. So again, I'm going to right click this and I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to call this one iPipe S, and then right click, hide selection, and now that pipe is done. To create one of these T-junction pipes, we're going to apply a symmetry modifier to this, and then we're going to select the mirror. So for you guys who don't have some modifiers selected here, we can drop down this menu and locate it. I've just created a shortcut for myself. So with mirror selected of the symmetry modifier, we can rotate this around, and we get after 45 degrees the pipe appearing out the other side. If we went round all the way here, we would get the pipe there, and if we go over here a bit further, we get the pipe facing that way. So we're going to use another symmetry modifier and select mirror, and we are going to rotate that now further around, and that gives us our cross junction pipe. So but we're going to keep going until we get our T junction pipe, and I'm going to when I'm happy with that, clone it, call it T pipe, and that's done. Right click, hide, right click, hide selection, and now I can go back onto this pipe, go back to the mirror and just rotate it that way, and we are finished with this pipe now. So we can call that one X. Actually no, what we'll do before we do that, we will right click it, clone it, call this one X pipe, and then we will right click that, hide selection, and then we will delete that, and then we will keep that selected like this. So now what we're going to do is clone this as a copy, and then we're going to rotate this to be 45 degrees, and we are going to move it up across so it is looks like it's coming out like a Y here. On this one we're going to just delete that symmetry modifier, and now we've got something that looks like a Y pipe. We could attach these, and to be honest it'd probably look alright, but inside we've got some overlapping faces, whereas this one there's nothing wasted. So to do this is a new technique that you might not have seen before. We're going to go over to the Create tab and select Compound Objects, and then we're going to use this option here, Pro Boolean, and with this we can do all sorts of things with it, but we're going to use this option Union. I'm going to press Start Picking and click this, and now these two objects have unionized or united. So the topology with that looks absolutely fine, so we're going to right click it and convert it to an editable poly. It's a very powerful tool, Pro Boolean, but it can leave you with some very difficult results to clean up. This here right now is absolutely fine because it's quite a simple shape, but yeah, use it with caution. So now we've got that Y pipe, we can hide that selection like so. There we go. Right then, so we've managed to create this pipe, this pipe, this pipe, this pipe, this pipe, this pipe, and this pipe. We only have these ones left now. Okay, so let's start with the S pipe. So I'm going to go back to my Scene Explorer, and I'm just going to unhide my 45-degree pipe. And to do this, what we're going to do is add on a symmetry modifier, and that gets us another end of the pipe, and this is the shape that we're trying to create. So we're going to go over to the mirror. I'll just turn off the Scene Explorer, and if we rotate that around until, so we might need to turn off make our snaps here. Let's try 0.5 to get something much more granular. Now we do this until, there we go, it's lined up perfectly. Okay, so what we can do now is put on an edit poly modifier. Don't convert it down to an editable poly, and we can select this element, and if we move this up to let's see, I would think that looks about right. Yeah, so we want to get it as close on, so we moved it up along the x-axis as close to this line as possible, and that means we know that our pipes connect on these grid lines here. The next thing that we can do now is select this border here, and then having the border selection on, and then holding down Control, select the other border, and if we bridge these, they will connect up. The last thing that we have to do is just select this last border here, and we can see we've very nearly got it perfect on the x-axis. It's 0.003 out, and if we just delete that decimal value and not do that, so I'll Control Z, just want to delete that. There we go. So now that is perfectly aligned there, and we've got this S pipe. And the reason we're doing this is just so we can create some more interesting shapes and angles on our pipes, rather than just these ones might leave you with some uninspired patterns. So we can now rename this as S pipe, and then we can hide the selection. Right then, next we want to go back to our Scene Explorer, and have a look at our eye pipe. So with this one, what we want to do is make a clone of it, and we'll call this one offset pipe. Okay, and then we can select the eye pipe and hide the selection. So now we've only got the offset pipe selected. We're going to do a ring selection here, so select that and ring, or drag a box over. And if we press connect, put the settings button next to it, we can do 2 segments and increase the pinch until it's quite close to the edge. I'm going to do 75, and that seems close enough to me as well. In fact, actually, no, I've missed one step out here, so I'm going to click X on this to cancel it. And first, what I want to do is select this border here, and we need to offset this. So to offset that, we are going to push it along the x-axis, negative 50. Okay, and now our pipe is skewed. And now if we go back to the edge selection, we can click settings on here, and it should have remembered what we had selected, and we can just click the tick button, put 2, and 75 is the offset that I had. Now to line these up, if we double click one of these rings, we can see that the y-axis is 90, which is fine, and then the x-axis, which is the sliding along here, if I turn off the snap so you can see, we need to get it looking straight like that. And if I get it really close, you can see what value it's supposed to be. It's minus 50, just like we'd moved this one over to. So that means this one just needs to be 0. There we go. And now we're nearly there. We'll hold down Control and double click the other ring, and then to round these off, we're just going to give them a chamfer. But we're going to click the settings button again, increase that number to 2, and then to round it off a little bit more, we'll increase the size of the chamfer a little bit as well. Click tick to confirm it, and now if we look at that, it's offset just like the other one. Now what we're going to do is right click this, clone it, and we'll do offset pipe L as a copy. Okay, and now we have that, and we're going to apply a new modifier called FFD, freeform deformation, but it's the 2x2x2, not the other ones. We only need the 2x2x2. And what this gives us is control points to deform our mesh. So if I select this control point and I start moving it around, you can start deforming your mesh. And it's how you can create quite natural shapes. But what we want to do is select all of these on the top. And the reason we've done it this way is because if we scaled it along, we would have stretched all of our chamfers, and it would have looked a little bit strange. But with the freeform deformation, we're going to make it long, but it's not going to change our chamfer ratio as much. So all we need to do is push this along the y-axis to be twice as long. So if I change this value down here from 100 to 200, it's now twice as long, but it hasn't changed the shape of the chamfer too much. I'll show you what I mean if we just scaled this. If I can copy this out, for some reason it won't let me. There we go. So if I were to do it like this, I am a complete hypocrite, and it does it exactly the same, and that would have been a much easier way to do it. I'm pretty sure when I made this tutorial it didn't work that way. Doing it this way will break its X forms, so we'd have to at least do it so selecting either the element mode and then stretching it out. That'd work. But at least my way, I've kept my pivot point in exactly the same place. And you got to use a new tool. So now if we unhide all, okay, we can see our whole kit is in the right place apart from this pipe here. And all we need to do, if your pipe isn't set properly, oh, and neither is this one as well. So if you need to fix the pivot point, well, actually no, this one is set properly, because we want this to be able to be rotatable around here, and if you wanted it to snap onto the end of a pipe, you can just move it a little bit offset. So that's the reason why this one is offset. But this pipe, what we would have to do is go to the hierarchy tab, affect pivot point, and now what we can do with our snaps on, because we've got vertex snapping on as well, we can just drag this pivot over, and we should be able to drag it in line with this. Hang on, let's try it one more time. It's because I've got this option on enable access constraints. You won't have this enabled. I had that on by default, but what enable access constraints does, it means that you cannot accidentally move it in multiple axes. Well, in 3 axes at least. You can only do it in maximum of 2 at a time. It just makes working with snaps on, having axis constraints on, just makes it a little bit easier. But what we wanted to do is just have this snapped over to here, so it's on this middle vert of the pipe. And then when you turn off affect pivot point, I need to make sure I don't offset this on the Z so it goes to the floor like that. I just want to return this on the X axis to here, so now it's perfectly aligned there. And then if I affect the pivot point and then return the pivot point to the Z, so now that's perfectly in the center of the world, and the pipe is in the correct place. So that is a pipe set pretty much made. The only thing that we would do now to improve this, so I can just hide all of these. So hide selection, and if I just go to Scene Explorer, I'm just going to bring out the 90°, the eye pipe one more time. Let's get the eye pipe S. Okay, and I'm going to clone this. If I go to that menu, there we go, and now I can clone it. And I want to copy, and I want to call this connector. Now you could model this connector into your pipe mesh, into your high detailed one, or you could have it separate so that you can place these manually. It's up to you and your workflow. But what I'm going to do is just decrease the size of that, and I'm going to hide the other one. So I've got the old pipe S is what I've hid there. So I'm working on the connector mesh, and I'm just going to make it quite small, probably around about 10 centimeters in width. And I can see it's 10 centimeters because it's around about one of these grid lines. If I wanted to make that precise, I could select this border, press the move tool, and I can see I was 0.09 centimeters off. And now if I just delete that, now I know it's exactly 10 centimeters. So I'm going to do just turn off the Scene Explorer, and I'm going to connect. First do a ring selection and then connect all of these together, and I'm going to do it with 2, and that looks alright to me. And now this is where you can have some freedom to design your own. I would look at some reference of pipe connectors, but if I do a ring selection here and I bevel it in, and remember to just change the way that the bevel works. By local normal works best with cylindrical objects like this, and I'm just going to first we need to make sure that this pipe is this whole piece is a little bit fatter, so I'm going to actually select all of these and bevel it out like this, and this is yeah, there we go, that looks okay to me. And then I'm going to select these inner ones, and I'm just going to bevel these in a little bit like that, and that'll do for me. And what this means is that we can attach these to the ends of our pipes. So if I snap it like that, so then when you put pipes pieces together, and move that up, this is why axis constraints are nice to have on. And then it's still not really playing ball. I'm just going to turn this off and eyeball it. There we go. Oh, yeah, done it. And then now if I do 180 degrees, 0.5 is quite granular as well on the snaps here, so I'm just going to change those to 5 degrees. There we go. But now I can put these on, and then I could put that here and grab another one of these. And in Unreal, when you've got your snaps on, this will be much easier to place around, but it lets you build nicer, more realistic pipes. And you can build something called fabrications in Unreal Engine, so that these will be all attached together, or you could put them together in blueprints as well. The only other considerations that you might have for this would be to build pipe supports, so connectors for them to fit to the walls, and accessories for your pipes, maybe some valves coming off that you could fit onto it every now and then. And I would also advise for you to, after making one set, scale it down and make a duplication of it, so that you have 3 different sizes of pipes. When you, the rules of 3 apply to pipes, and I think that it looks very nice when you have a mixture of different sizes. Makes an environment look a lot more complex and higher detailed than just one set of pipes. You can apply everything that we've just done here with using that pivot point for creating mesh pieces, so that they connect nicely together. All of these are just pieces that were separate and have been snapped together. So again, just like that. And using all of this stuff, you should be able to make some nice environments that don't require too much unique artwork. Making sure that you are working smart and not too hard for your modular environments is definitely a good tip. If you've got any questions, make sure to let me know in class, and otherwise hopefully this tutorial was of use to most of you. Thanks for watching.